Welcome back to Mighty Habits, everyone. I'm Steven, and today we're going to be looking at something a little different. Yeah, it's about food, but not like, our usual deep dives into nutrition or the latest diet fads. This is more about where our food comes from and how connected or maybe disconnected we are from that whole process. Most of us just grab what we need at the supermarket without really thinking about it. But what if we took a step back? What if we challenged ourselves to eat hyper locally, like really, really locally? I'm talking about ditching the supermarket and embracing a way of eating that's all about self-sufficiency and community and, yeah, maybe even a little bit of adventure. Now, before you start picturing me living off the land, foraging for berries and hunting wild boar, let me clarify, this isn't about going full survivalist. It's more about rethinking our relationship with food and exploring what it would take to eat in a way that's more in tune with our local environment and resources. So get ready to dig in as we explore a fascinating experiment, a family's journey into the world of local eating, and what it might teach us about our own food choices and habits. The kind of stuff that makes you think twice the next time you reach for that perfectly packaged tomato at the store. Are you ready to dive in? Let's go. Okay, so let's talk about the folks who took this locavore challenge to the extreme. We're talking about author Barbara Kingsolver and her family. Yeah, the novelist decided to swap fictional worlds for a real-life experiment. They committed to eating only what they could grow, raise, or source within a 100-mile radius of their home. And just picture this, their home is in rural Virginia. Talk about a challenge, right? I mean, even finding a decent takeout place in some rural areas can be tough. But they went all in, growing their own veggies, raising some animals, and tapping into local farmers and producers. And get this, they even brought their teenage daughter along for the ride. Now, it's got to be a story in itself, trying to convince a teenager that homegrown lentil stew is just as good as pizza. I can only imagine the dinner table debates. But honestly, that's what makes this experiment so intriguing. It wasn't just some idealistic foodie fantasy. Kingsolver and her family had deeper motivations. They wanted to understand the modern food system, warts and all. The environmental impact, the social consequences, the whole shebang. They yearned for a connection with the land, with their community. And let's be real, they probably also wanted to taste the difference between a sun-ripened tomato from their garden and the pale imitations at the supermarket. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Now, this whole journey is documented in Kingsolver's book, Animal Vegetable Miracle. But don't expect some dry, preachy lecture on sustainability. It's a mix of personal essays, mouth-watering recipes, and honest reflections on food production in America. You get a glimpse into their lives, the struggles, the triumphs, the moments of pure joy and frustration. Like when they're overrun with zucchinis. I mean, we've all been there, right? Or when they're battling those pesky squash bugs. And the teenage daughter, Camille, she brings a healthy dose of teenage skepticism to the table. It's not all sunshine and roses, folks. She reminds us that changing habits, especially food habits, takes time. It's about finding balance, making adjustments, and yeah, sometimes admitting that you just really crave a slice of pizza. But there's this one story that really stuck with me, their quest for the Thanksgiving turkey. Most of us just grab a frozen bird from the supermarket. No big deal. But the Kingsolvers had to find a local farmer meet their future Thanksgiving dinner while it was still gobbling around the farm. Talk about confronting the reality of where your food comes from. They said it was the best turkey they ever tasted, and it made them appreciate the whole process in a way they never could have imagined. But their experience goes beyond one delicious turkey. It makes us question our own relationship with food. Where does it come from? What impact do our choices have? Are we even aware of the journey our food takes to get to our plate? And most importantly, can we do things differently? Can we shift towards a way of eating that's more mindful, more sustainable, more connected to the people and places that nourish us? See, the Kingsolver's journey wasn't just about their personal experiment. It was kind of like a microcosm of a much bigger movement, the local food movement. It's all about shifting away from that globalized food chain. The one that sends our food on these crazy long journeys before it ends up on our plates. And instead, the local food movement encourages us to reconnect with the sources of our food, to support our local farmers and producers to build more resilient communities. And think about it for a second. When you buy from a local farmer, you're not just getting fresher, tastier food, you're also putting money directly into the hands of someone in your community. You're helping reduce those carbon emissions from all that transportation, and you're supporting a more sustainable way of life. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Stephen, I live in a concrete jungle. I can barely keep a houseplant alive, let alone start a farm. And you know what? That's totally fair. The local food movement isn't about everyone becoming self-sufficient overnight. It's about taking small steps, making gradual shifts in our habits and choices. Maybe it starts with a weekly trip to the farmer's market, or seeking out a local butcher, or joining a CSA, those community-supported agriculture programs. Or hey, maybe it's just being more aware of the seasons and choosing produce that's grown closer to home. The point is, every little bit counts. Every step we take towards a more localized food system adds up. It's about recognizing that our food choices have power. They impact our health, our environment, our community, and even our connection to the natural world. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of local eating, I want to leave you with a little challenge. What's one small change you can make in your own life to embrace a more mindful and localized approach to food? Maybe it's trying out a new recipe with seasonal ingredients, or finally checking out that farmer's market you've been meaning to visit. Maybe it's starting a conversation with a local farmer, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the journey your food took to get to your plate. Whatever it is, I encourage you to explore the possibilities and see where your own food journey takes you. And if you're looking for some inspiration and some mouth-watering recipes along the way, definitely check out Animal Vegetable Miracle. It's a book that might just open your eyes, your mind, and your taste buds to a whole new world of food. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, folks, and until next time, keep those muddy habits growing.